I'll try and have a bit of a go, but yeah, most of my life no one's listened to me, so.
Listen, mate.
You know, it's an amazing thing to have, as Jesus was saying, you know, have Jesus as your Lord and Saviour. You know, well, I'll take you back to when I was born. I wasn't even supposed to live, you know. The rejection was put on me as soon as I was born. Have a good look at your little brother you're not going to have, you know, because he's not going to live. He can't live. He's just not eating, he's spewing, he's got pneumonia, he's not going to live. You know, so that rejection was put on me right there and then. And, you know, I grew up feeling no love whatsoever from me mum and dad. They actually give me away. And my auntie, she never had any kids, but she knew how to love, and that was what the midwife said, you know. All you can do is take him home and love him and see if he'll survive, because we can't do nothing for him. But anyway, I survived, and but you know, I turned out to be a great sinner, and you know, some of the things I've done in my life I'm not proud of, a lot of things. But you know, as Bill hit it on the head, you know, with his testimony the other week when I heard it, and I thought, yeah, that's exactly right, Bill. You know, it was just like, there was always this hole that nothing could fill. And it was, you know, I turned to heroin, shooting up, speed, and I thought, yeah, this is filling, you know, this is what I need. This makes me feel good. You know, I've got something to say, but it was absolute crap. You know, you were dribbling stuff that you just, I never used to say much, but when I had this stuff in me, mate, I felt like Superman, and I thought that was what I needed. Yeah. And, you know, it just made you feel good for a day. And then you woke up and it was, ugh. You felt a bit worse than what you did the day before, so you had some more. And it's funny, you know, like some of the things I've done, I know if other people did them, they'd be dead. I've seen so many people die, and I think, wow, he only just touched that, and I've been in it over my head, you know, with so many things. You know, I remember waking up one morning, hadn't even got out of bed. I was mixing up some speed in a spoon, and I was that out of it still that I actually didn't draw it up in the syringe. I just pulled the syringe back, and it was just full of air, and I thought it was full of the gear. And I stuck it in my arm, never missed me vein in my life, you know. And I couldn't find my vein. And I was still laying in bed, you know, and I was still half asleep, and I ended up having to pull it back out of my vein, and that was when I realised it was just a syringe full of air. Who stopped that from going in? You know? If I'd have pushed that in, I'd have been dead. You know, like, that was just one occasion of something, you know. But as I say, I'm trying to fill something I didn't know. I was always searching for something in my life. I didn't know what I was searching for. And, you know, took off, you know, spent a lot of years on the mainland, running around, getting the best drugs, and not to mention the alcohol and the cigarettes and stuff like Jesuit shared with us, you know, drinking and smoking at a young age, and just totally addicted to everything. But You know, and people used to say, oh, he's mad, you know, he's crazy. And, you know, I was mad. If you upset me, you know, and I'd come around and stick a gun down his throat, you know, and I would pull the trigger. Has got me here today through his grace, mate. I should have been in jail, I should have been dead so many times, you know. And, you know, as I say, I'm not proud of a lot of things I did. But, you know, my life wasn't all bad, you know. Some things, you know, you push through, you know, and you get on. But, you know, there was nothing give you satisfaction for more than 24 hours. You know, I got into hunting wild pigs, you know, and started up a business, you know, drunk out of my brain on drugs, growing marijuana like a mafia or something, you know, and thought up a name for this pig hunting business, you know. And anyway, just off in the bush, you know, one dog, one knife, no guns, and just totally, you know, drinking grog while I was doing it, and off my head on dope, and I was after this big giant boar that was on this 7,000 acre farm I lived on. I'd seen his tracks around the property, and, you know, I thought, wow, I've got to get this pig, you know. He's just, that'll fill something, you know. And anyway, one morning I'm crawling through this prickly acacia tunnel, you know, on my hands and knees, and I'm looking at these giant footprints of this wild pig, you know, and my dogs had already gone off in front of me, you know, and I'm on my hands and knees and I'm crawling through this tunnel, and I was looking at the size of these prints of this pig, you know. I thought, if this thing comes the other way, it's just going to eat me in its stride, you know, it's that big. And, but it didn't matter, you know, nothing seemed to scare me. It seemed to drive me on to, I don't know why, you know, and I couldn't turn back anyway because I couldn't turn around in this prickly acacia, and you couldn't stand up, you couldn't, and I'm crawling through this tunnel, and I thought, man, this thing, if it comes through the other way, and I don't know where this tunnel's going to lead me, you know. But anyway, I've come out the other side, and I lost the tracks of the pig in this creek, and I couldn't find my dogs. And anyway, so I walked back across through the paddocks and a couple of miles of my ute, and I drove my ute down, and anyway, I heard my dogs. So I've gone up the creek line, and I had 2 dogs that morning, and anyway, I got in this real thick bush, and there was a creek, and this dog, I couldn't see its head, I could only see its body, and it wasn't touching the ground. It was just hanging out of these bushes, and it was just, I couldn't work out what was going on, you know. It was just like, what is going on here? And I couldn't see my other dog, couldn't see anything except this dog, headless dog hanging out of a bush. And I just said, get hold of it, and they had hold of it all right. This giant boar just come flying out of these bushes with my other dog hanging off it. And it just comes straight at me. It just jumped this creek, and I just believe it was the weight of the dogs maybe, you know, that just stopped it getting that extra foot across the creek, and it hit the bank in front of me, and it shook the ground, and I just thought, what is this monster? You know, I got pigs 400 pound before, and they were pretty scary, but this thing was just, you know, and I was on my own, and I wasn't even scared. I just thought, wow, this is going to be it, you know. And I had a knife handmade that had cut steel. It cost me $350. And I was trying to drive that knife into this pig, and it was like trying to drive a knife through a tree. It was just going in like a quarter of an inch, and it was just stopping dead. And I just couldn't believe what was going on. I thought, I can't kill this pig. And one of the dogs, you know, that was scared. It just slunk off. If I would have had a gun there, I would have shot the dog, you know, because it just had no guts, and that just went away. I don't know what happened to that, but yeah, I just ended up, you know, just persisting, and I finally got my knife and killed this pig. It finally went in, and you know, we walked out of the bush, and I was covered in blood and guts, and needed a drink, of course. And anyway, this young bloke pulled up on a tractor and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "What does it look like I'm doing, you know? Not going to church." And you know, I've got his drink bottle off him and had a drink, and anyway, I told him I just got that real big pig, and he come into the bush and we took my camera out of my ute, and we just took a few photos, and he was scared of this pig, and it was dead, you know. It was the biggest thing he'd ever seen, and he took a couple of photos, me and my dog sitting down beside it and stuff, and it was funny because a few weeks beforehand, the guy from the newspaper in the town had actually approached me and said that he'd like to come out and do a story on me, you know, about pig hunting, and I said, "Oh, don't ring me, I'll ring you," sort of thing. And I thought, you wouldn't be able to hack it, mate, out at my place. And, you know, you're the editor of a newspaper. I'm the boss of a drug house and an alcoholic. Run pig safari, you know. You wouldn't cut it, lad, you know. Anyway, I got back to the house, and after getting this big pig, and I just remembered this young bloke that had come up and asked me to do a story, you know, and I was all fired up, you know, all excited. Rang him up, he said, oh, look, you know, go and take some photos of it. And I said, oh, look, you know, I've already done that, really. And so I took the photos into town. I had to go in and get some groceries and stuff. And, yeah, he done this story on me in the newspaper, you know, local razorback finally caught, and it was the biggest pig ever killed on Kangaroo Island. And, you know, that's just, you know, something that happened, you know. Turned back to drugs, alcohol. I didn't think I even had an alcohol problem. That's how good my wife is. She never ever told me to stop drinking, slow down. Never once said, I think you drink too much. And I was drinking a bottle of whiskey a day, sometimes two. You know, if she wanted to have a couple of glasses, well, that's it. I have to go and get another bottle, because that bottle, you know, you've just taken a little bit of my joy out of there. I have to get some more now. Oh, I might as well drink the rest of this bottle as well while I'm going, you know. And I'd be off my head. I'd be driving my car, riding my Harley. I just didn't care. Didn't care who I trod on to get drunk. You know, it was funny when Bill shared his testimony the other week. I nearly said, you sure this is your testimony, not mine, you know? Because it was just so close, you know, to a lot of things I'd done, you know, exactly the same, you know, leaving school at a young age, working in the abattoirs, you know, up against men, and I was only a little boy, and you know, and then trying to prove, you know, that you had something there, you know, but it was always, enough was never enough of anything. And I didn't know what it was. How come these people are happy? You know, how can these people not drink alcohol? You know, like, growing dope, I got obsessed with money. When I chucked in jobs, you know, well, most jobs I was sacked from because of alcohol. And then I seen this guy selling dope at work, and he was making twice as much money as me, and I just thought, oh, I'm chucking in my job, and I'm going into the dope business, you know. And so that just blew out of proportion. In the end, my wife, we weren't married at the time, but we had my eldest daughter, and we was having our second baby, and I said to Lana, I said, this house is not big enough for you and Ebony. I said, I've got to fill up another room full of dope. So she went back to South Australia. So I had 250 plants growing in the house. And I was sitting in the pub talking to a bloke, and that song come on, that old Aussie crawl song, you know, and one of the lines in it said, the garden's full of furniture and the house is full of plants. People, they just want to take you down. Remember that song? Feel you will. And I just sat there and started laughing, and this guy said, what are you laughing at? And I just said, mate, I've had to send my missus back to South Australia. I said, because I needed the main bedroom. I said, I've got furniture out in the garden, mate, everywhere. I said, I'm sleeping in the lounge room. You know, I took hydroponics to another level, I think. And it was just too easy. Not to leave your house and to grow thousands and thousands of dollars worth of dope. That was for me. You know, I thought that was for me. But that didn't satisfy me, you know, like, you know what it did? It gave me more money to sin more. Even though I didn't know it was sin, didn't care, I was in it for the fast ride, you know, and I didn't think, you know, anything could ever really unrattle me or whatever, you know. I've done a lot of things, done a lot of stupid things, but as I say, you know, I should have been dead. You know, I bought another Harley with me money out of the spare bedroom, and you know, just spent money like you wouldn't believe. I had to have hundreds of dollars in my pockets all the time, otherwise I felt insecure, I felt naked, and I just, hundreds of dollars a day I'd just spend on drugs and alcohol and just burning her up, mate, and you know, then I joined the motorcycle club, and I was even too wild for them. Honestly, they did. They said, you're going to have to settle down. You're out of line. And I thought, what's wrong with you pussies, you know? We're here for a good time, not a long time. And you know, things just got worse. I was away from me partner and me new, you know, had a little kid and having a second one, and I thought, you know, I don't think I'm much of a dad, you know, I'm too busy partying, you know. I'd be away for days, weeks on end. And I don't know how, you know, my missus put up with me. But I'd get home and she wouldn't have a clue what I'd been up to, and you know, like, she'd go, oh, hello darling, you had a good time? And I'd just be a mess. I'd be a total mess, hadn't slept for a week, you know. And then sometimes I'd sleep for a week and she'd just bring me in something to drink, you know, and I'd just pass out again. Just that high on drugs that you just couldn't do anything but sleep or just have ample amounts of drugs to wake you back up. Anyway, the didn't really want me. They thought I was too wild. Once I went and tried to take on another whole bike gang on my own when I was off my head. Tried to bash their door in, and I was just totally off my head on speed and ecstasy. And I'd been down the pub, and I had this young bloke that was like a little lackey running around after me, and I was sending him to the bar constantly buying 2 Jack Daniels at a time, not one for him and one for me. They were both for me, and I was just drinking them that much. Like I'd say, go get back to the bar and get me another 2 Jacks. It's not enough. So it was never enough. Nothing could ever fill me. It didn't matter what it was. And I'm telling you, you know, you say, oh, you talk to some people, you know, that, oh, I've had a go at this and I've had a go at that, you know, and it didn't really make me feel like this, or it didn't make me feel like, oh, it made you just feel like a little bit good for a while. You know, it was probably cut. It was street drugs, you know, they cut to the crap, and that's what hurts you, is the crap that it's cut with. And when you get pure heroin, I'll tell you, it is a very warm feeling, but it's a cheap substitute. Well, actually, it's a dear one. Same with pure speed, pure everything, you know. It's sort of, I had it, you know, I didn't have second-rate stuff. I seemed to somehow run into the people that had the goods that made you feel good. But after a while, you just, it started, I'll never forget, I asked this girl one day, I said, someone told me that you're paranoid. What does paranoid mean? And then, isn't it funny how you start mentioning things and then you usually find out what they're like. And I'll tell you, paranoia is a very disturbing thing when you're on drugs. And anyway, I had a lot of years, you know, like 24 years of using hard drugs. And, you know, I thought I started smoking and drinking, you know, something like 8 years old. Started smoking and then started drinking when I was about 10, you know. I remember I used to get $1 a week allowance, not from my mum and dad, from my auntie. And I used to give this $1 to this bloke at Sheffield that lived up the road from us, and he'd go into the pub and buy me 2 long necks of beer and get 2 cents change from $1. So that was a while back. And you know, some of the time, you know, I'd have to tip some of the beer out because I just couldn't drink it all. But I was just force feeding myself, you know, from a young age, trying to feel something that I didn't know what it was. But I believe that it was rejection from the day I was born. And, you know, from my mum and dad, even though mum and dad, you know, said that, oh, well, no, we loved you, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that at all. And that's something I believe that God's changed in me to make my children feel that I'm, you know, experiencing right now with my children. And it's amazing. It's an amazing thing to be able to tell your children that you love them, and they say, I know you do. And they love you back. And you know, so I just felt like I was unloved all my life, you know, and I didn't care. Well, I didn't think I did, but I was always running around. I was running around Australia like a madman. You know, I didn't know what I was searching for really, and just had a lot of things happen that made you feel good for a little while, but then, you know, you just turned back into the drugs and the booze and the fast life. And then, you know, put myself in a really, and my family, in a really scary situation. But I believe God had his hand in it, and that's how he brought us down here a couple of years ago. And wasn't the best way to be delivered, but we got brought down here, and had to stay with my sister for a while. And that was when we had a garage sale on it, and I just needed more money because I wasn't growing dope anymore because, you know, we lost the house we lived in and stuff, and so I needed more money, so I put my Harley out the front for sale. And anyway, these two couples walked in and started looking at stuff and said good day and invited me to the church, and that was actually Tom and his wife Winnie, and I thought, oh, and Jill said, oh no, she said, I know them people. She said, I've been to their church, and I just said, oh, yeah, well, they don't know me, they won't like me much there. So anyway, I went along, and I thought, this is weird. What is going on here, you know? I just said, what's wrong with this person over here? And my sister said, oh, he's drunk. And I said, what? You're not allowed to be drunk. She said, no, he's drunk in the spirit, you know. And I'm going, what? What's going on here, you know? And I'm wearing it, you know, when I think back, I thought, gee, I wonder why people are looking at me funny. I'm wearing these clothes with demon drive lines and all these, you know. You know, I was a mess, you know. I actually stunk. My body odour was just absolutely just the drugs oozing out of my skin and the alcohol. And you know, I went to this church and I thought, this is a bit weird, but at least I don't feel too weird, you know, like these people, like, there's a few of them look like they've sort of like me, but probably not quite. And I still didn't understand what was going on there, because I'd only ever been in a couple of Catholic churches and that when I was a young bloke going out with this Sheila. And then it was like straight out the back and into sin. And then, you know, so I just thought, wow, these Catholic churches, you know, I just thought they were all like that. You know, I'm not saying it was bad, I'm just saying I felt really uncomfortable. But I went to the Christian church, and I'd never been in a Christian church, didn't know anything about Christianity, didn't know anything about God. And then Craig from the church, he just started coming and talking to me, and he just seemed, oh yeah, he's all right, this bloke. And we come up here actually to Pete's place one day, and Pete gave me a copy of his testimony and seen what he was like, and I'm thinking, wow, what's going on here with these people? You know, all they talk about is God. There's got to be something. There's got to be something going on here, because I've tested this bloke over the last couple of months, and he just doesn't falter. He just goes on the word of God. You know, I went to Launceston with him one day, and I got home and I went, wow, when are we going to have a real conversation? All this bloke talks about is God in the Bible. What's wrong with him? You know, drank about the whiskey, and he kept on coming round, you know, and there was something about it. It was just time to give something else a go. And we left here, and Peter gave me this book, Divine Revelations of Hell, or something it was called, wasn't it, Peter? And I got home, you know, got my gut full of grog, and And I was reading this book in bed, and it started to frighten me. And I thought, this is weird. How can a book frighten me? You know, I've had a 500-pound ball come at me, you know, and that sort of didn't seem to frighten me. It just started to frighten me a bit, you know, and anyway, there's something about it, I just couldn't put it down and kept reading on it, you know. It wasn't a very thick book, I couldn't read much except Live to Ride magazines and bikey stuff, and I just, yeah, this is different, but it had to say this prayer in the back of it, and I thought, man, I'd better say this. After what this woman spoke about in this book, I'm in trouble. And yeah, so I've said this prayer and nothing happened. Anyway, I woke up the next morning and Lana said, oh, are you going to go to that memorial service, the funeral service up here today? And I said, oh, well, I think I should go. I said, Bryce gave me a Bible, not that I've ever opened it. And so I went. I was sort of getting ready to go up there, you know, and I felt a little bit weird. And I picked up that book again, and I went straight to the back page, and I just sat there in the kitchen, and I said this prayer again. And I thought, oh, well, you know, if I've asked Jesus into my heart, well, he must be there, or, oh, well, so, and I went and sat on the dunny, and we had a pregnancy thing on the back door, you know, it spoke about everything, and it was just, I just happened to look, and there was just a couple of words that stood out to me, and it said, not long now. You know, I was talking about pregnancy, but it was, I've looked at this and I thought, that's weird. Mind you, I had a lot of weird things happen in my life, but anyway, I've gone to the funeral, the service, and I felt quite emotional for someone that I had known for a very short time. And, you know, it was a very touching service, and, you know, I had to hold back a few tears. I didn't like to be seen crying. I was always brought up that men don't cry. And I walked out of there, and I needed a drink. So, you know, that wasn't very much out of the ordinary. So I've gone and got a bottle of whiskey. I went home, and I reckon I was only on my second or third glass. You know, it wasn't even in first gear yet. You know, I was about to rip into it. You know, I thought, I'm going to probably go back and get another bottle. And I was just sitting in the lounge room, and my missus was lying down with one of my daughters, putting her to sleep, and all of a sudden I had tears running down my face. I just went, whoa, whoa. It felt like I just had a big whack of something else and smoked something else and dropped a handful of pills, but it felt even better than that. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what's going on? And I've looked, I hadn't even nicked the bottle of whiskey, and I just didn't know. I didn't know who to tell, and I didn't even know what to talk about, really. So I ran out the front door, left the front door wide open, just didn't care. Walking around Thompson's Court. It's not the sort of place you'd leave your front door open, they told me, you know. Anyway, I just started walking around the court, and I had tears rolling down my face. I'd just been playing with with both of my daughters before they went to bed, and they put all this plastic jewellery on me, you know. I forgot about that. I'm walking around. I had all these big beads on and bracelets, and you know what? I didn't care. I ran into a bloke's wife around the court, and she's looked at me and she's just started laughing, and I've got these tears rolling down my face, and she goes, what's going on? And I said, I don't really know. And I actually had my own unit, and I went round, I just tried to wipe away the tears, and it was in the dark, so I could hide that pretty well. But she knew. She just knew that I had salvation because she was a Christian. And anyway, I walked over to my unit. I'd done a couple of donuts in there. I didn't know what was going on. I'd never felt like this before. And walked back around to my place, and my sister was about to walk into my missus's place, and she seen me and stopped out the driveway, and I walked up and I said, I think I've just been saved. And she's gone, what? What do you mean? I said, I think Jesus has just saved me. And she's going, what? Are you off your head? And I said, I don't know. I said, no. I said, no, it's Jesus, you know. And I went inside, and I'm sure they thought I was just off on one of my trips again, because I used to rave on about a lot of crap, and no one really took much notice of me. But we got into bed, and Lana was reading, my wife, now she's my wife, praise the Lord. She was reading some book that was, you know, I believe wasn't of God. And not that I'd ever read the Bible, but it was funny. I looked at her and I said, put that book down. I said, there's only one book you should be reading. And I said, that's the Bible. How could that come out of my heart and my mouth when I hadn't even read it myself? You know? And anyway, the next day I just sort of polished off the bottle of whiskey and got into a few joints, and the woman I said I ran into when I had all the jewellery on and the stuff, she said, oh, I'm getting baptised this Sunday, you're going to come and get baptised. And I went, what? Well, I don't know anything about that. It was funny because I didn't have a clue what baptism was all about. Didn't have a clue. And funny enough, by that Sunday I was going in straight after her, and as you've heard, I've had, you know, the best heroin, the best cocaine, the best man could offer. And when I went down in that water and I come up,
Father of fathers, the author of life, with every word written in blood. For all who should read, trust and believe, will share with you eternal love. You wrote a love song, you wrote a story, told of the way it will be. Your promises all kept, your prophecies correct. You spoke directly to me.
I'll just add a little bit to it, because even though that felt really good, a few days after, you know, I'm thinking, wow, where's this God? What's going on? Well, I got to feel something that a lot of people probably will never experience in their lifetime. And I wondered why this person that I was, or the way I created, or whatever happened to me, the devil made me do it, being such a sinner all my life, why did God come to me? And I got up this morning, it was only just a couple of days after my baptism, and I got up and I thought, gee, I suppose I better have a go at reading this Bible. Seems as though I believe in God now, you know. I thought, well, I better make an attempt, you know, and I had scriptures and readings read out at my baptism, and I remember it said it was a scripture from Timothy, you know, and I remember that because, you know, that's my name. That's probably how it stuck in my mind. So I made myself a cuppa and I sat down and I opened up to this Timothy chapter, and I started reading it, and I could not focus on reading it because this other crap in my head. So what I did, I started reading it out loud, and that was it. I could do it then. I was reading it out loud, and I thought, this is weird. I'm looking around. It was like it was echoing in the room, or inside my head, or something. And I got up and I made a cup of coffee, and I'm thinking, this is strange, but I'm going to read a bit more. And I was just reading it out loud, and I thought, I'm going to have a shower. So I've gone and got in the shower. And I'm standing in the shower, left the door open, and I could see out to me front door. And I heard someone knocking on the door, and I just leaned out of the shower, and I could see that it was a good friend of mine, actually, from the church, and he'd been around the night before, and he'd left his wallet sitting on the speaker in the lounge room. So I left the shower running, just put the towel around, gone undone the door, and he said, "Did I leave my wallet here?" I said, "Yeah, it's over there, mate." And I'm standing there dripping wet, and he walked in, and he turned around, grabbed his wallet, turned around, and he said, "God's in here." And I went, "Oh, right." And he said, "I'll leave you with it." And he's gone, and I thought, well, that's weird. He's a man of God. Wouldn't you want to stick around if God's here? So anyway, I thought, I've gone back and jumped in the shower. I'm telling you how it is, it's just, that's the truth of it. And I got back in the shower, and I'm standing in the shower, and next thing I could just feel there's like a presence or a force field of some, this is the best way I can describe it. And I went like this, and it was like my body was electrified, or current of something, energy like you've never felt. And I'm going, it didn't even feel like my body. I couldn't even touch it. It was just, whoa. And next thing, I'm down on my knees. Don't forget I've had all these good drugs, fellas. Nothing felt like this. It was the awesomest thing I've ever felt in my life. I was down on my knees in that shower, hanging on to the end of that bar, and all I could say was, "Lord, you are worthy. You are worthy, Lord." I was blubbering that out in amongst the snot, the tears. Oh, mate, I'll tell you, it sounds a little bit weird, but I'll tell you, I experienced it. And it was the most, I don't know how long I was down there for. It was like a couple of minutes, and I'm telling you, it was the most overpowering thing I've ever felt in my life. And I got up out of there, and I've just gone, whoa. And I turned the shower off, and I grabbed the towel, and I walked out to the lounge room, and I walked, done a donut, and walked into the bedroom, and bang, God put me on my knees again. I grabbed hold of the end of the bed, and the same thing happened again, and it was just the most awesomest thing I ever felt. And I got up, and I just couldn't believe what was happening. It was just, wow. And I got dressed, and I thought, oh man, I've got to tell someone about this. I've opened the door, and my uncle, he fixes washing machines and stuff, and he's drove past in Thompson's Court, and he's like looking for someone's house, and he spotted me, and he reversed back, and I went, "Have you ever been in the presence of God?" And he said, "Oh, I reckon I have a couple of times." And I said, "Step inside, brother." And he just put his foot on the gas and said, "See you later." I went, "God bless you." And he went away telling people, he said, "Tim just blessed me." And they really thought I was off my head. Like, they knew I was on drugs down the track back to court. But he took off, and I had to do some washing, and I went over to my sister's. My washing machine didn't work, or I didn't have one, and probably drank it. And I went over and done some washing at my sister's, and Ruby rang up, and she said, "Oh, Craig's come home and told me that God's in your house." She said, "Cheryl's father is dying in hospital right now. Can you pray for him?" And I said, "I can do that." So I said a prayer for him. Not that I knew much about praying. Anyway, I said, well, why don't you call round and we'll pray together, you know, because I didn't really know how to pray properly. And she said, well, I'll call round on my way to work. And so she did. I've sort of just got back over to my unit with my washing all done. And I got to my door. It was funny, you know, because I was by myself and I said, oh, God, I hope you're still in here. Because that was awesome, you know. And I walked through the lounge room to cut. I said, hang on a minute, God, I'll be back. I've just got to hang this washing out. I didn't know that God could come with me outside, you know. I thought he was just in there. It was funny. And I won't, mate, it's the quickest I've ever hung my washing out.
When you get back.
And I've got, to get back and feel this love. It was the most, and then bang, bang, look, Ruby come round. I made her a cuppa, and I was on fire. I tell you. And we sat down and I said, do you want to pray? And she said, yeah, we'll pray. And next thing, God just pushed me out of the chair and I was on my knees and I was just bawling and the same thing. The pool of tears that was on my lounge room table, mate, where I was slobbering and he was getting the dross out of me. But it was just filling me, mate, with his love. How? I thought, why me? Why me? But you know, I believe God just gave me that love because he knew that I needed it.
Yep.
Because I felt like I never had it all my life.
He's got it all right.
And the thing was, I wasn't giving out love to my children because I didn't have it in there to give.
Yeah.
And God just filled me up with this love, mate, and I'll tell you what, drugs, they were the cheapest substitute, but that was the only thing I knew. But now I know Jesus Christ, and I know it's real, and no one can take that away, because he put life into me, and wow, everywhere I go, I talk to people, and I tell them, do you know God? Do you know that you've got to ask Jesus into your heart? Because I know it's real, and it's the best feeling I've ever had in my life.
Amen.
Praise the Lord, eh? Sorry to take so long, eh? All right. Well, thank you guys for sharing so openly, really. I guess some people, God's got to get their attention, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
Others, it's always different, I suppose.